Okay, so you're building a B2B SaaS company, right? And you want to aim for the stars. But, like, how do you know if your product is really solving a problem people will pay for, really pay for?
That's the million-dollar question, or maybe even the billion-dollar question these days. And the answer, you probably already know it, it's product market fit.
It really is everything, isn't it?
It's not just some buzzword, it's like the holy grail for startups.
And today we are diving deep. We're not messing around. We're going into a framework from First Round Capital, and these guys have seen it all, backed hundreds of startups.
And it's, yeah.
They've identified 4 distinct levels of product market fit.
It's like climbing a mountain, right? You don't just magically teleport to the summit. You got to navigate all these different stages, each with its own challenges.
I like that analogy. I like that. So where do we even begin on this climb?
Well, you got to start at the bottom, right? Finding your footing. That's level 1, nascent product market fit. You're just starting out, just laser focused on making those first few customers like deliriously happy.
Word of mouth is everything at that stage, right?
It's everything. Think back to Christina Cacioppo back in 2016, manually filling out those security compliance spreadsheets for those first Vanta customers. It wasn't scalable, but it showed those early adopters, hey, I feel your pain. I'm with you. I'm in the trenches.
It's like that classic story of someone behind the curtain, pulling levers and making it work.
Exactly. It's all smoke and mirrors at the beginning, right? And it pays off. When you over-deliver in those early days, you build trust and loyalty. That's invaluable.
Okay, so you've impressed those first 3 to 5 customers. What's the next step?
You start thinking about scaling that, right? Scaling that initial success. That brings us to level 2, developing product market fit. This is where you go from those one-off sales to building repeatable demand.
You can't just rely on your own network anymore at this stage.
No, you need a system, a process, right, that consistently brings in ideal customers. It's like, think about what Looker did. They realized their potential clients, these data people, they needed to see the value. So they developed this forward deploy sales process.
Forward deploy. That sounds kind of intense.
Oh, it was. It was very intense. Their sales team, they invested so much time up front, really understanding each client's needs. And then get this, they used that knowledge to model the client's data within Looker. So it's like, boom, here's what our platform can do for you with your data.
Don't just tell them, show them. I like that.
Exactly. And it worked. High close rates, almost no churn. They figured out that repeatable demand. And that's your main goal at level 2.
Yeah.
To go from 5 happy customers to 25, maybe even hit that $1 million revenue mark. And you're building a sales engine that doesn't rely on just you grinding all the time.
Okay, so things are moving. You got a solid team. Customers are coming in. Have we reached the promised land? Strong product market fit, level 3. Tell me it's smooth sailing from here.
Not so fast. Level 3, this is where things get really interesting. You've proven yourself, you're attracting customers, but now you're dealing with a whole new set of challenges, believe me. You've got a growing team now, maybe 30 people, maybe even 100.
Wow, yeah.
And you have to keep that momentum going, but now you also have to boost efficiency.
Got to scale those systems. No more duct tape and prayers.
Yeah, no more of that. Remember Lattice? They started as an OKR tool, but they realized by really listening to their customers, HR leaders, that there was a much bigger need.
They pivoted, became this really robust people management platform.
Yeah.
And they used Figma mockups to validate those pivots. You don't always need a perfectly polished product to test things out.
No, not at all. And that's actually a perfect example of how the 4 Ps of product market fit come in: persona, problem, promise, product. These are your tools, your map for this whole journey.
Okay, love a good tool. Break it down for me.
So persona, first things first.
Right, because you can have the absolute best product, but if it's not for the right people, forget it, right?
Exactly. You're trying to sell snow shovels in Hawaii. It's just not going to work. And understanding your persona, it's not just about basic demographics.
It's about really getting deep into their world. What does their day look like? What are their pain points? What's keeping them up at night?
Yeah, all of that. Remember Jack Altman from Lattice? He realized that it's one thing to kind of know HR leaders exist, but you have to understand their challenges. What are they being measured on? He took that struggling OKR tool and turned it into something that really clicked.
He found that sweet spot where it's like, this is a problem, and this problem is keeping me up at night. Which leads us to the problem itself, the second P.
And not just any problem. It's got to be a problem that's important and urgent. Let's think about Christina Cacioppo again and Vanta. security compliance. It was important to those startups, but it often felt like a nice to have.
Until they were about to close a massive deal,
Yeah.
and then suddenly it's a huge roadblock.
Exactly. It goes from being this like thing on a to-do list to a 5-alarm fire.
Right.
That urgency, that's the sweet spot.
That's interesting versus take my money.
Yes. So you found that problem. Now you got to communicate why your solution is the answer. That's the promise.
The pitch, the marketing, the whole brand identity. Right. It's got to resonate.
Right. Looker with that forward deploy thing, they didn't just say, we've got a great platform. They showed it. They modeled the data, the insights.
They sold the outcome.
Yeah.
The transformation even.
Exactly. It's about telling the story that speaks to their hopes and dreams, their fears. And that brings us to the last P, the product itself. You got to back up that promise.
And as we've seen, sometimes that doesn't require a perfect, shiny product on day one. Sometimes a mock-up, even a manual process like Cacioppo with those spreadsheets, that can be enough.
For sure. The key is to iterate. Always be getting feedback, refining.
So we've got these 4 Ps. We're figuring out where we are in those levels of product market fit. But how do you even find those first customers who will pay? And I don't mean just saying, yeah, sounds cool. I mean really putting their money where their mouth is.
That's where dollar-driven customer discovery comes in. Got to cut through all the noise and figure out if they'll really invest.
Okay, yeah, tell me more.
So it's about uncovering extreme value. And this isn't about being tricky. It's about asking the right questions to figure out those deep pain points, those if only I had moments.
How do you even spot those moments?
You listen for those wow statements. When you can tell something just clicked, something they've been struggling with, maybe losing sleep over.
A problem so big that suddenly budget doesn't seem like such a big deal.
Right. And once you found that, you need to confirm they can actually pay.
This is where it feels like so many founders, they get so excited about the problem that they forget to ask the tough questions.
Yeah.
Like, will anyone actually pay for this?
It is a hard question, no doubt. But honestly, it's better to hear no early on than to spend, months, years even, building something that nobody can afford.
So how do you even approach that conversation without, like, scaring people off?
Remember those 3 prices? We talked about the fair price, the expensive price, and then the, prohibitively expensive price.
Yeah.
It's a really great way to figure out someone's budget, how they're thinking about it without being too, too direct.
Totally. It's like you're giving them permission to be honest because they're comparing it to those other options in their head.
Exactly. And that honesty, that's gold. It helps you understand, okay, how much do they value this really? Does my pricing make sense?
It's all about testing those assumptions early before you go too far.
Exactly. Have those tough conversations, ask the hard questions, and be ready to adjust based on what you hear.
So you're iterating, always refining things. But what about when it's just not clicking? You're doing everything right, but the traction's just not there.
It happens, not every product's a home run. Sometimes, even if you really believe in it, the demand just isn't there.
Which has got to be tough
Yeah.
when you've poured your heart into it.
It is. And that's why I think it's so important to just be honest with yourself all along the way. Have I really tried everything? The 4 Ps, have I really explored them all? Have I really listened to the feedback?
No sugarcoating it.
Nope. And if, after all that, you realize it's just an uphill battle, it might be time for that pivot.
Which could mean, what? Changing the customer? Changing the problem you're solving? Even starting over completely?
Maybe. The point is, remember, failure, it's not the opposite of success. It's just a stepping stone.
I like that. So for everyone out there building something new, remember, product market fit. It's a journey, not a destination, right?
100%.
You're going to be constantly learning, iterating, and some of the best lessons come from those, wrong turns.
Sometimes that detour takes you somewhere amazing you never even imagined.
That's a great point to end on. This was awesome. Thanks for diving deep with us. And for everyone listening, remember, building a successful business, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So pace yourself, trust the process, keep learning, and we'll see you next time.